All right, so friends, today I'm gonna work on making some abstract art, kind of like Kandinsky. So on one side of your paper, kind of like what we did last time, I just want you to write your name small, just in case you make a mistake on the other side and you decide later you want to turn your paper over. This will be easy to erase. And then your class code. Okay, 4KL for this class. Flip it over, and most of Kandinsky's abstract paintings that we've looked at use geometric lines and shapes. Okay, so I want you to kind of just gather a few things you think you might be interested in tracing. Got my Kleenex box. You may have something else at your table. You can borrow whatever you need to from me, okay, to trace as long as you put it back, okay? And we're going to start off with anywhere from 1 to 3 large shapes, okay? So the reason I say 1 to 3 is because if you turn your art stool over and trace that, that is really, really big. So you may decide that's enough. That's going to be the big shape. If you don't want to go that big and you want to do stuff like this, maybe then you're going to do 2 or 3, okay? So when we're doing this abstract art, I want you to think about balance. So with my large shapes, that means that I don't necessarily want all my large shapes on the same side of my paper. I kind of want to spread them out. Like if I was going to pretend that my paper was a scale, I wouldn't necessarily want everything on one side. Now, with this Kleenex box, just going to give you some ideas. I could trace the whole thing, or I could kind of leave it open a little bit, okay? Kind of like a triangle. Or I could take my ruler and turn this into a triangle. Right? And it is fine for shapes to overlap. So I kind of like the idea of making this shape, but I like how sometimes he leaves, one side open. So remember how I taught you guys with your self-portraits to draw light until you get it right? Really want to practice that with this as well. Or, you know, you could also take your ruler and make this into a different kind of geometric shape, okay? Whatever you guys want. So some other things that we saw in his paintings were just different kinds of lines and then smaller shapes, okay? So next I want to move to smaller shapes, and I'm probably going to use my ruler for a lot of these. So for example, I could do a circle inside of a circle or right outside of it, okay? Now for this, it doesn't really matter how many, I just kind of want you to spread things out, okay? It's okay that this line kind of extends out because I noticed some things like that in his paintings. Let's see. I may trace something small. I also noticed some half circles or some semicircles. So I could do something like that, and maybe they're pretty small. So I think kind of towards the bottom here, I'm just going to draw a line. And then I'm going to take a smaller object that's circular. And I'm going to trace it. kind of want them to be about the same size, but if they're not, I think it'll be fine. Maybe actually I do want a small one here. Or no, maybe I'll just let it overlap with this circle. I also noticed some kind of checkerboard looking pieces, and then some, like, they're not lines, but they're really skinny shapes. Like some of you said, it looks like a paintbrush, right? So now I'm going to be drawing some kind of thicker lines or really skinny shapes. And then kind of right here, I think I want to do one of those, somebody said, looks like a Rubik's Cube, or you could be making it look kind of like a checkerboard. Okay, cool thing is, just because it's geometric doesn't mean it has to be a perfect rectangular square. So then I'm going to go through and kind of divide this up into lines. I could even leave it like that if I wanted to, but I'm going to make it more like this. Okay. So keep adding things. I could add some smaller circles. Then the last thing I want to do is maybe think about some curved or straight lines I want to add, or a Kandinsky wiggle. But I think I might do that next week, okay? So today I'm going to mostly just do the shapes. So we're doing kind of the outline with a pencil, and then we'll add lines next week.